My name is Craig Olson. I work for Alberta Pipe Trades College, and today we're going to be doing a little candle holder. We always want to mark the end that we're going to start measuring from. So I'm measuring from my left, so I'm going to put a black mark on that end because for later steps, we want to make sure we know that. Now, we want to make some measurements at 2 3/4 of an inch, another one at 4.5 inches, a third one at 8 inches, and our last one at 10 3/4 of an inch. And then 12 inches is our full length. So I've taken my copper tube and I've marked completely around. This is going to allow me to adjust my project a lot easier when I do the actual bending of the project. You will notice that I still have my black mark on the end that I started my measurements from in the previous steps. And we always must make sure that we know which end this is when we do our bending. I'm going to install my copper tube into my benders. Now we have to make sure when we do this that my benders are set up like this, and I can zero out my 2 zeros here on my bottom wheel and on my top block. So if I open this, I can take my copper tube and I can install it inside, and you'll notice that the end I've marked from is on my left hand side. It's over my left hand, and that's what you want. You want to make sure it's over your left hand. If you put it in backwards, it's not going to work right. And here's my mark on my right hand side, so I don't want that. So we're going to put it on the left. I'm going to take my unit, I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to slide it through. You notice how my zeros are connected, and I'm going to slide till my first black mark is at the 90 degree on my top block. You'll see 4 lines up top. I want to make sure my first black line is right in line with this 90 degree line. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to line them up. Then I'm going to lock it in. You can check, make sure everything's lined up. Mine's a little bit off, so I can sort of wiggle it and get it in there. Once that's done, I'm ready to make my first bend. So my first bend for this project is going to be simply just a 90 degree bend. In here we have 2 90 degree bends and 2 180 degree bends in our project. So my first one is going to be a 90. So on my bottom wheel, you're going to notice it starts at 0 and it goes 45, 90, 135, and 180. So I want to bring my top 0 on my top block all the way down to my 90. So I'm just going to grab it here and here, and I'm just going to do a nice smooth bend, and done. My 0 on my top block, my 0 line is lined up with my 90 degree bend, and I'm done with that bend. Now I can open it up and take it out if I want and see that my first bend is done. Now for my second bend, I have to make sure that my black mark that I started measuring from is always, again, over my left-hand side. So I'm just gonna slide it through. So I've lined my second line up with the 90, and all I'm gonna do is take this and rotate it up. And that's gonna give me the correct orientation of my second bend. Now the second bend is a 180 degree bend. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my 0 on my top block, I'm going to rotate it all the way around to the 180 degree down here on the bottom of my wheel. So in this case, you want to make sure everything's sort of straight and lined up, so you can take a look down and make sure that this is nice and straight in line with your tube. And all I'm going to do is grab this, and bend. And you're going to have to cross your arms a bit. Switch hands and go to the 180 degree bend. There's my second bend. Now, this could be a little bit problematic because it is such a tight bend. It does take a little bit of wiggling to get it off of the actual wheel, but it will come. You just gotta grab it and pull it. So this is our third bend set up, and we wanna make sure that you look at the project and the completed project that we have a picture for and understand which way you wanna bend. I can't bend it this way because I'll bend it down and it'll be the wrong way. And I can't bend it this way because it gets in my way. If I do this, it actually knocks my own lock down, and I'll do a 180 this way, so it's not gonna work. So we're gonna flip this all the way up. Again, this is why we marked all the way around. And I'm gonna have it set like this. Again, my black mark that we made before is on the 90, and I wanna do a 180-degree bend again. So I take my block, get the 0 zeroed out, make sure everything's lined up, and one smooth bend to the 180-degree mark. All the way around. That's my second last bend. Now I can take this, drop that down, and this one comes out much easier than the first one. So for our last bend, again, we want to make sure that our black mark on our end is over our left hand, which it is on the left side. I've lined up my fourth bend, and again, we want to make sure we're bending in the correct orientation. And I want this one to be bent so that it bends down so that this piece and this piece are on the same plane. So I take this, I line it up, and again, I'm only doing a 90. So I'm only gonna bring it down till my top block 0 is at the 90 degree down here. So I take this and I simply bend. Once that's done, I can pull this out. Now at this point, you can put it on the table and it should be relatively stable. If it's not, what you can do is just give it a little push on a flat table and it will flatten out a bit. So this here is the next tool we're gonna use, and this is a flaring tool. And what this is gonna do is gonna take the ends of our project and it's gonna turn it into this. It's gonna flare it out so it can hold something, and in this case, it's gonna hold our candles. And because it's 1/4 inch, on our block here, we have different sizes. We have them ranging from 3/4 all the way down to 1/8. But we want to go to 1/4, so this hole is the hole we're looking for. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one end, doesn't matter which end here at this point, and I'm gonna slide it into my 1/4 inch hole and close it. And what we're looking for is approximately 1 dime's width, so 10 cents, width sticking out above this block. And you can move it a little bit here and there, you just set it down. I'm gonna say about there. Now you gotta hold it. Now you wanna put it into the actual machine. And on the edge, you're gonna see a bunch of holes. These holes are gonna line up with this just to help hold it for you. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna line it up to my 1/4 inch hole, and now I wanna tighten it up. Now all I'm gonna do is take this handle and turn it to the right. And what this is doing is inside there's a cone that's gonna go into the middle of that tube, or tubing rather, and it's gonna flare it out for me. So I just keep going until it clicks. And there it clicked, you'll feel it. And now it's not doing anything, it's super easy. Now I wanna reverse it out. So on the top, I'm simply gonna take this, spin it into the reverse, and I need to back this out all the way. And then I can release this here. Open up my block and pull out my flared piece of copper tubing. So now we can do our next side, the exact same steps. About a dime's width out, get it lined up, lock it in, and in you go. Reverse it all the way back out, loosen this off, and there's our completed project.